How do you want to be remembered?
Changed lives. Inspirational figure that changed lives.
Are there any regrets?
Yes. Most of my life.
What's the biggest one?
My mother. Hurting her.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Sipping on Excellence. I am Dr. Lionel Hunt, and I'm never by myself. I'm always with my man, Coach KJ.
That is I.
Where, we like to bring you guys the real, raw, uncut versions of life issues, good,
Life
bad,
things.
ugly life things.
The things that you need to be sipping on to be a better version of yourself.
We got a special guest in the house today, you guys. This is a treat for me for sure, because I've known this young man for a lot of years.
Yeah.
We got Judge Greg Mathis in the house, y'all.
Yes, and let me give you
Yeah,
and
y'all.
let me start out with some advice. Lord have mercy, Doc. He telling all your business. He
Start
said
hot.
that you're alone, that you're never alone, and you always go raw. You need to put on protection. That's not safe these days, Doc.
Why you giving up the goods on me, man?
Your man, y'all just mentioned it. I'm never alone, and I'm always raw.
I did say that.
Thank you.
That is about as simple as it
And
gets.
that's what that's what I do.
I would
You know,
write it
that's what you say with me.
I would write that down, but there's no need.
This is that camera right there. This is what y'all call, these jurists picking stuff apart, semantics, picking at the wording.
That's right.
Picking at scabs.
Right? Judge, what's happening, man? What's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Just happy to have a black pope. First black pope. Many others.
Chicago.
That's right. By way of Haiti, his
Right.
family.
This is true.
Mhm.
Very
and
true.
Descendants of slaves.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right.
They're not trying to talk about that.
I know. He even asked him. He won't say it.
Toussaint Louverture.
Right. He said he can't understand him.
We fought in Haiti too.
Right.
So
they ain't trying to hear
that's
that.
a big development.
Well, thank you for taking the time to be here, man. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Tell us let's start by how we know each other. We won't go into too much details, but you guys know me being a back doc. This young man took care of him some years ago. God, that was when we first met, 2008?
Yeah, that's why you keep calling me young. Because you're still in the past. Man, I am 65. I believe I was 38 before we met. I believe I was. 48, maybe.
Yeah.
I was 48.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
In 08, and couldn't crawl out the bed. Well, that's all I
Really?
could do.
Really got
And
that
when
bad,
When I left him, I was jumping up and down up until maybe a couple of years ago and jumped up and down a little too much.
Start doing a little too much.
See, now y'all trying to get me back.
The question is, did you enjoy it?
Yes, the boat rides were great. No, shit, let me watch it. She was big as a boat, and she was great. And I rode her. Let me stop. So y'all got Judge
Don't worry, we
Mathis
won't get canceled.
uncut.
That's all right.
Y'all got me uncut.
Hey,
If I did a
this
show
is
behind the
fresh.
scenes, Judge Mathis show, this is what you get.
That is
This is
it. That's what
this
we
is what we
wanted.
do, man. We want raw conversation. Tell us, because we were talking about this earlier, that
Mhm.
the younger generation has no idea. When I say younger, under 40, really have they may know who you are, but they don't know your
That's it.
story.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I would love for you to just give us a little glimpse into that boy from Detroit.
Mhm.
That dude
That-
before the robe.
Yeah,
That's right.
that road
That's
to that
right.
road to the bench. How to get there?
Well, let me say this. I'll work backwards.
Yeah.
yesterday we celebrated Mother's Day. It was my wife's birthday as well.
Wow.
Well, I did a video message saying that when I met you, first year in college, I was transitioning from the streets, had been a stick-up kid,
Mm-hmm.
went to jail, came out, got my GED, went to college, still had to hustle a little bit because I had no parents. My mother died when I was a teenager. I had no father in my life. You do look a little like my father, I'll be very honest.
Is that why I get that eye?
Between you and George Wallace. He always claims he's my daddy because I don't know my dad. I go to a Vegas show, he stands me up. There go my son, Judge Mathis. Come here, and he brings me up on the stage, and I say, Daddy, give me my child support.
Where's my back child?
Right.
So, yeah, I didn't have a dad in my life, and so my wife met me playing, I was flipping 3-card Molly on the campus with the squares, taking their money.
Still a little hustle.
And I was selling joints. I wasn't doing no hardcore
Still a little
stuff. Just
hustling.
petty, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I try to, add to those loans and grants that
Right.
weren't quite making it for me without any parental or family support. And so I met her, and I was still in the street halfway, 1 foot in the street. My boys were getting rich off the cocaine trade.
Okay.
That's when the crack epidemic came. They kept trying to bring me over there. Man, you can get rich in a year. And they were. It's unfortunate that these folks dumped that crack on our people. And you had the ones at the top.
And this was still in Michigan, right?
Yes, in
Okay.
Detroit.
Okay.
And so I fought against that. And then my wife finally said, or my wife now, and Linda, then college students, she said, you're going to have to stop. She's saying, if you want to see me, no more hustling, no more any of that. So that's what changed my life. And finally, the final episode, if you will. And then from there, her family embraced me. I stayed with them on the holidays. They had a separate room for me in their home. They were suburban, upper middle class folks. And I couldn't stay with my brothers because one was selling cocaine in the house. And my other brother, him and his buddies would come, buy it from him, and cook it up.
Wow.
So one was getting the bricks, and the other one was selling and
Chopping it
up.
In the same household. So I go through, I think I stayed with him the first 6 months out of college.
He's like,
And I was in law school at nights, working full time during the day, so I didn't have to see much of it. But, I'd leave out 8 in the morning, go to work, and then law school afterwards and law library. Didn't get home till 11:30. And yeah, they'd be doing their thing, and I just walk right to the attic and go ahead and rest up till 7 in the morning, get back down to City Hall. So I did that for about 6 months, and then by that time I was able to get my own place. But it was during those breaks during college, the Christmas breaks, the summer breaks.
Right.
Sometime I've stayed with my in-laws, and they live a pretty good lifestyle with us now in their 80s.
Nice.
So we are
Take care of those who took care of you.
Yeah, bring me a lot of joy to do that. But life started for me in the housing projects in Detroit. I was the youngest of 4 boys. Mother was single since the time I was born. I'm told that my dad used to come around the first year or so. Before your memory doesn't really start until about 4. I can't remember anything beyond 4 or 5.
Yeah, same here, yeah.
Yeah. And so I never had a relationship with him, and my mother worked full-time at nights and part-time during the day. She left work to go to work 10 p.m. every night, came home 7 a.m., took a nap, got us off after getting us off to school, took a nap, got up at 1 p.m., go clean houses, come back, greet us from school, feed us, make us do our homework, took a nap, got back up, went back. That was her routine with 4 boys in the toughest housing projects in Detroit.
No excuses. It's just.
And so we had we had a structured household. Unfortunately, it wasn't there. When she went to work, all hell broke loose. You can tell us all you want, but when you go to work and all these kids in the projects are doing everything. But I'll tell parents that. The structure was force-fed. She force-fed us spirituality, had to go to church twice a week. If she couldn't take us, which was most of the time, the weekday Bible study, she'd have a deacon come pick us up.
Okay.
Force-fed it. When I got kicked out of the first grade in public school.
Kicked out of the first grade. He gets kicked out of the first grade.
You don't even get grades.
I got kicked out of the first grade.
You don't even get grades in the first grade.
I used to throw spitballs at the teacher when they'd be writing on the wall. And then the last thing, I put a tack in her seat, and she sat on the tack, and then she smacked me. And my mama came up there and returned the favor.
Smack back.
So they say, y'all out this system. So I went to the church school. She had some folks at the church who helped me. My brothers went to public school, but they helped me. My first 6 years were in church school, which gave me a great academic foundation and spiritual foundation that many of us, as I did, return during adulthood when you come to adulthood. But between those years, in and out of juvenile, my only adult conviction was as a 17-year-old tried as an adult for carrying a gun, and left there after 9 months, got a GED, applied for the Army. The Army rejected me, thank God, because I had a felony.
Interesting.
Applied under affirmative action program. That's why I'm so involved in public policy making, because affirmative action is what got me where I'm at.
It's what's got us all sitting here.
Correct.
And it annoys me when I hear people who look like us say it wasn't necessary.
Yeah, right. Let's see how you
Like
you won't even get to the table to compete.
Right, like they bootstrapped themselves.
Well, they don't know. The people who say that don't even know what affirmative action really is.
Correct. Correct.
'Cause
They
if
don't
you-
know it's creating the equal opportunity for people who've been left behind.
And they think that's only black people.
Women are the primary.
The white women have been the primary beneficiaries of affirmative action.
And DEI and everything else. Yeah, they have been.
That's-
And they
I
take that
digress.
white money back. They take that white money back to their white households and their white husbands. So I don't know how quite affirmative it is. I'll leave that alone. So got in college. First 2 years did horrible because I selected the wrong major, business administration or engineering, one or the other. I think I went back and forth within 6 months because that's where all the jobs were. Kids think they should go where all the jobs were. Well, you have to have the skill level. You have to have an inclination. You have to have that skill.
Right.
And as we speak, I can go to school and get many degrees as I want, but I will never be a nuclear physicist.
Right.
Or a physician. Or a physician, as Dr. Hunt. Math and science are my worst subjects.
Yes.
And so what I did, first it was business administration. Boom, accounting, economics. I was like, well, I ain't went no further than the calculus, maybe even algebra. I don't even know if I took calculus in high school because I left mid 11th grade.
Right.
Then I said, well, I got to change this. This is too much math. And I said, well, I'll be an engineer.
It's like,
no. No.
So I said, well, I'll be an engineer.
How these numbers and these letters work together?
Right,
I'm not understanding
correct. There
this.
you go. I'm still.
That's for people. That's for those minds.
I'm still stunning
good
on
on
that.
that.
I'm still stunning.
Yeah. What these letters and numbers? How they work together?
Right.
No, that ain't right.
And so I switched over to engineering, and here they came again. Biology, science, physics.
I'm like, you switched to engineering to get away from math, and that's
It's more math.
Worse, right. And so finally, I was about to flunk out. I had one semester left that if I hadn't gotten over a C average that semester, I was going to flunk out. So I went to the library to take a skills test. I wanted to see what I was good at. And the skills test, for those who really don't know, this is how you find it. They have those. Now you can get them on the internet, I'm sure. It identified the various careers that you would be successful at according to the skills you've displayed on the skills test. So after I took it, it said you can be a good social worker. You would make a good history teacher, historian, English teacher.
Everything down the liberal arts side of
there
things.
you go.
You were a thinker.
That's right.
Yeah.
Then when I saw a lawyer, I said, well, that's what it's going to be.
Right. It's like, I could do that.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. They have the wherewithal to say, let me go take this skills test to see where I'm really good at.
Give up.
So it means your mind, you're a thinker, which you took this test. Now he has the thinking capacity to say, oh, well,
but so many people
Never got
nowadays,
less
like you
than a
said,
C.
yeah, so many people nowadays just go, like you said, go towards where can I make money instead of going towards what am I good at and what do I like.
Absolutely.
And the reason I was accepted in the law school, because those last 2 years, once, they see what's happening when they look at your transcripts, I had A's and B's last 2 years, never got less than a B. So they said, oh, okay, this guy can do it. Because being admitted in the law school is primarily, do they believe you can finish?
Yeah.
That's really the primary thing. And they want high-level folks or folks who have high-level parents who can be prosperous alumnus, et cetera, and give them some money. I had none of that. So, yeah, and then after law school, during law school, I was working at City Hall for the Detroit City Council. First, I had to make the sacrifice my senior year in undergrad. I went to college, Eastern Michigan University, a regional university in Michigan. Went there, and the last semester, it was 45 minutes from my house. I'm sorry, from campus. Last semester, I would get up, take a 2.5-hour Greyhound bus ride to what would have been a 45-minute drive. I didn't have a car. I used to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning, walk to the Greyhound, take the Greyhound at 7, get downtown at 9, Detroit, come back that evening. I did that 3 days a week as a free intern. So I'm saying that to show the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Well, that city council person hired me. And that put me on the fast track I put myself on the fast track.
That opened the door for you.
Yeah, in electoral politics. And I began to run campaigns, ended up running Jesse Jackson campaign in Michigan where we won. The mayor of Detroit's campaigns I ran and won. And so I became some of a campaign expert, for lack of a better term, because I knew how to relate to the people.
Okay.
That was one of my political gifts, grassroots, because most folks in politics, they're there because they have parents who are successful or they're in that circle of success.
Correct.
Yeah.
Whether it's your own personal family or the crowd you run with. And so I had none of that. Instead, I related to grassroots folks. I never left the people I was with behind. I always tried to bring them with me. The guy that runs our community center in Detroit, we were discussing.
What we're talking about.
I met him at the gates of the penitentiary when he let him out 22 years ago. Had him start as a volunteer. I've had 5 directors there. He's been the best out of all of them.
Wow. Nice.
And so I say that to say I bring them with me when they're ready, too.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You have to make sure that they're ready. So I still had that grassroots touch.
Wow.
And the rest of the political world struggles with that.
To
And
this
so
day
I
still.
could, so I could deliver. I could deliver the grassroots folks, and that shot my career in politics ahead. So when the mayor resigned, I began to practice law, criminal defense law, primarily because I wanted to help get these young folks a second chance and try to help them like I was helped to get that second chance. And I saw that the judges were treating them bad, locking them up, throwing their away the key. No compassion, no second chances, no understanding of the circumstances which they come from. And so I said, let me run for judge there. Well, let's start. Let me back up because there's some other hurdles. After passing the bar, they held my law license up for 2.5 years. I had to go to the state Supreme Court to win my license because they had a question on the ethics filing. You have to file these little ethics papers, and they actually have been committed. You have a convicted crime. Da, da, da. Well, I had had an expungement of my record, so you're able to say no.
No. Yeah.
So I put no down. Guess what the next question was? You ever had your record expunged? Defeat the whole purpose.
It's like,
and the worst thing you can do as a lawyer is lie.
yeah.
And so I had to say yes. And they said juvenile all the way back. Describe every arrest and what happened. Wow. Describe every conviction and what happened from all your life.
Wow.
Of course, that was a long list. But they
So
violated.
even though you were a juvenile, they wanted to know it all.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. Because you don't have a right to be a member of the state bar. That's a privilege.
Gotcha.
But they can't discriminate against you.
Gotcha.
So if the law says expungement wipes away the crime,
right,
then you have undermined the law by asking the second question.
Yeah.
That was my fight at the Supreme Court, state Supreme Court, and we won. But it took 2.5 years of appeals. And so that was one. And so when I ran for judge, once again, it came to media this time. They started coming to the community meetings. Did you know he used to be a gang member? Did you know he had a record? Did you know this and that? And telling the people, well, what they didn't know is he was the same meetings I would go to when I was organizing campaigns with the politicians. So they thought they were doing something. When I come, they'd hear I'm going to speak at one of the community meetings or what have you, and they show up with their cameras and asking people. They say, yeah, we know.
Right.
That's why we want him.
Exactly. Because he has grassroots.
Correct. And he knows these young folks.
And he wasn't hiding it.
Yeah. His feet are in the soil.
Yeah,
he understands.
They said that's the one we need. And so they tried to destroy it. But we know how God is. What man means to destroy, God can twist it up. So it became a big deal, my record, during the campaign. Well, I beat a 20-year incumbent judge by 10,000 votes. And when I won, it was a national success story for about 2 days. You know how they do. You hear 2 days.
I wasn't ready.
I wasn't ready for that part.
Former street gang leader becomes youngest judge in Michigan history.
Let's try to move on from this. Yeah.
And so here come the producers, of course, Hollywood cats called it now. Everybody want to make a movie. And so that's how I ended up on television. We got to Warner Brothers. They said, well, we don't know about a movie. what about Judge Show? This woman, Judge Judy, is really tearing up the airwaves. And so that's how I came to television. I said, under one circumstance, you all must show my journey at the beginning of the show so that I can inspire single mothers, particularly those who are raising bad boys or boys on them alone in poverty.
Right.
And the young men themselves and young women.
Yeah.
Inspire them on how to overcome and get out of the trap that they might feel they're in. And they told me I had a 20% chance of success. I was glad they at least told me 80% of most television shows all fail.
Now, were they banking on success of prior judge shows? Because the only two that I knew of was the People's Court
and Judy.
And Judge Judy.
Mm-hmm.
And Judy was the only one with the name.
And I remember the People's Court because my grandmother used to watch Judge Wapner when I was
Absolutely.
a kid.
We all did.
And it's a funny story. Fast forward, Judge Wapner and his wife were patients of mine before he passed away.
Wow. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so this was 15 years ago, probably right before I met you.
Okay.
And so then he comes strolling my office. I'm like, what's up with all these judges?
Television judges.
These TV judges coming in my office, But it was just, I thought about that and I was like, that show was wildly popular because it was the only one on TV. And then you have Judge Judy that comes. And then you got Judge Mathis, first black man on the bench on TV.
Yeah.
And then they had also the post soap opera crowd.
Yeah.
So everybody was, okay, this is my next.
Mm-hmm.
This is my reality TV now.
And one thing that used to catch most people like me, our attention, because this is 99, 2000, early med school, is that he didn't talk like I'm above you because I'm a judge. The vernacular, the lingo, the ebonics was just there. And we were just like this.
Grassroots.
Yeah, it's like
I saw my basketball coach.
Yeah.
You saw your, the local, uncles.
It wasn't the judge who's the man, it was the man who had the degree.
Yeah.
But still came across as the man on the screen.
Relatable.
Yeah.
And
that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. And so do you think that is what played a pivotal role in your 24-year longevity?
Yeah, it's 26 now.
26 now, yeah.
But yes, absolutely. I think it's the relatability factor. I like to tell folks that I can relate to the kid on the street that comes in my courtroom, want to kick the game around. I can talk his language. I can talk the language of a family man and a father because I'm that. I can talk the language of a scholarly professor who wants to debate the fine lines of the law because I've been prepared academically to do that. So I can relate to almost anyone that comes before me in the courtroom. And I think that's part of it. And people at home.
Yeah.
They're so diverse. So I'm relating to all these diverse populations. And so I think that's part of it. And then when I go, they spread the word around at the nursing homes, whenever I'm dating one of the, also all the ones that'll date me are the older women. As you say, your grandmother used to watch the show. So
absolutely.
that's
Exactly.
the only dates I could get. All the other stars, these rappers, the movie stars, they get all these young, beautiful women. I got to go to the nursing home where the seniors living. I go there. Ooh, they drop their canes and everything. They go to running. They push my wife out the way. I said, "That baby, don't be jealous. She's just that 80-year-old.
The fastest she ever moved in her life.
You ain't jealous of that 80-year-old. All right, she the one ain't got no teeth. Let me move on.
Alrighty then.
All right.
Like Judge Mathis,
For those who know, this is Judge Mathis Uncut.
She said, Judge Mathis, the only man that made me moist. Not Stone Phillips, Judge.
Right?
Mathis.
I say, God put me in the right position. I don't have the type of pressure that them other cats have. The young farmers ain't hitting on me. They going for the athletes and the movie stars. So, yeah, that's, I think, the relatability factor. I can relate to every level of society.
What do you think was in that transition from sitting on the bench in the circuit court to sitting on the bench on TV?
Mm-hmm.
What was the toughest part about making that transition?
The risk. I had to leave $125,000 a year in Detroit, a very high wage for a low cost of living in Detroit. Yeah. And I had 4 children and a wife. So that was a big risk.
What made you do it?
Just believe that that I had went through all that I went through. I believed I had purpose. I believe I had a purposeful life. I just didn't feel that there's anything about me that could have pulled that off. I say this is all God's work. So I ain't gonna turn my back on him. If this is what he's telling me to do, I better go and do it. Otherwise, ain't no telling when.
It was brought to your table for a reason.
Yep. And
it was your rhyme and reason.
Yep. So that's what I felt. It was purposeful. I felt I can influence and change lives.
Was there ever a moment where you're like, should I be doing this? Should I go back to politics or should I go back?
Well, I've never left political leadership. I'm involved in campaigns all around right now. I'm co-chair of my goddaughter's campaign for mayor of Detroit, and she's about to win. She's like 15% in the polls. And I'm back in Detroit all the time, every 6-8 weeks. I've never really, when I was in Chicago taping, I was all around, in the Midwest and East Coast, primarily working in leadership. I'm chairman of one of the things I failed to tell you, interesting point. Mm-hmm. This is why I went to college. When I was in jail, Jesse Jackson was going around the country in the 70s doing his I Am Somebody speeches. Mm-hmm. Jails and schools. I was in jail when he came and spoke. I didn't know who he was. He said he was Dr. King's protege, etc., etc. I didn't like Martin Luther King. In the projects, we liked Malcolm and H. Rap Brown and Huey Newton. Yeah. We liked the militant cats. We felt they were soft. Yeah. But he was coming so strong. And my brothers were Panthers, 2 of them in the projects, affiliated, not the hardcore. And so I had a consciousness of struggle. And so when he started banging out the facts and the analysis of our condition and how to overcome it, after the end, I said, I fought my way back to him. I said, I want to help you fight white people. I didn't know how to say it. I just say social justice is what I should have said.
That was your language.
It wasn't called social justice at that moment. I'm going to help you fight white people.
He was like, I meant what I said, too. But you get what I'm saying. You better stop playing.
So he said, you don't have any ammunition. He said, you can't fight nobody in here. He said, you leave here, you go to college, then you can come back and work with me. When I graduated in 83, remember I had just entered working at the city council as an intern. Mm-hmm. He had organized his 1984 campaign for president. Yep. So it was 83 when they began organizing it, just graduating. I went to organize a committee, heard him speak. Ragtag group of people because no people in the establishment were supporting him. Black establishment, religious, nobody. Just kind of radical and militant types. And so about 30 of us there, I get to him again. I said, I'm the young man I met you in jail. You told me if I go to college, I can work with you. I said, I just finished. Now what we going to do?
I'm calling you out. Let's go. Can I?
He assigned me as a youth coordinator of the state of Michigan campaign. And then 4 years later, right before working for the mayor, I was the campaign manager for the state of Michigan, which is the only northern state he ever won. Now I'm chairman of the board.
Oh.
So that's a strong and significant relationship and development in my life. That was the journey, and it's still my purpose. I almost feel, I'll be quite honest, let me just tell the truth, it's not quite just being a humanitarian. Some of it is self-interest. I truly believe if I stop serving and inspiring and helping people and just lay back and live a life of richness and fame and all the things that go along with that, I believe I'm subject to get hit by a Mack truck at any minute.
Yeah.
I didn't give you all this for that.
Well, because
that wasn't my purpose. Now you're going to leave that, and you're going to leave what I got you to do after all that shit you done did? Your life? No, you still got some redeeming to do.
Yeah.
This ain't done yet.
Yeah, this ain't done.
This ain't done.
I'll let
You don't get to
know when-
retire from your purpose.
Right.
No.
When
you
Warner
still-
Brothers ended the show, I say, cool. Next thing I know, Byron Allen is calling.
Oh,
right.
Here go God again.
Hey. And that's
And
and
he's
that's
about
the
as
thing.
big as it
It's-
get right now.
Yeah.
we always talk about on the show and in general about living life on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't take the time to sit and understand their purpose. And the young people, the teens, the early 20s, even the 30s, they're trying to find their way, and they're just flowing through life and just trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do with myself? We talked about pivotal moments in your life of how you went from one stage to the next. What was your biggest hurdle that you had to overcome to keep you from
Well,
straying?
the biggest life-changing moment was the death of my mother. Everything really centered around my stay in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Jackson inspired me to get out and go to college. My mom came to visit me and told me she had cancer, and the doctor told her she had 11 months to live. My brothers were living destructive lives, so it was me and her in the low-income housing townhouses we lived in out of the projects. We
Right.
were still low income. She and I, for 7 months, went down and down. I had to take her for chemo treatments. It's the most traumatizing experience to this day. Because back then, chemo, it was really bad on you. I'm sure you know, Doc.
Yep.
Though they have some non-nausea here now, but back then it was real bad, the side effects. And she'd have to go 3 days a week. And it took 2 days to recover.
Yeah.
This is how she would be every single day. Slop.
I mean, I get it. I watched my father died when I was 5 from cancer.
Yeah.
And the chemo was what killed him.
Yeah. Really?
This is in the 70s. Chemo was terrible.
Really? Oh, that's what my mom
Yeah.
did.
My grandmother struggled.
Yeah.
She struggled hard.
Yeah. And so she said, will you change your life before I die? Before nothing else changes, that will.
Yeah, right?
Got in college. She died 3 months after.
Wow.
So she saw me get in college.
She
That
saw
was
you.
the
She saw you.
pivotal
She saw you making that change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every time I had those influences, my boys coming, man, we can get this and that and the other. I thought of my mother. I said, this would betray her. That's how I felt. I felt I'd betray her. And so, no, I ain't hooking up for a few dollars to betray my mother. My mother is nearly died in my arms, essence, died in my arms and asked me to change my life. And
that was your first test.
correct.
Your
Good
first
point.
real test.
Yeah.
And as we talk about, when you're on purpose, you're going to be tested. And so throughout college, when people were testing you, your boys are like, look, you can come over here and make this money. You ain't got to be in school. Come get this money. Come get this bag. That was the test.
And what you think they said when I couldn't get my law license? Oh,
See,
they
we told you.
laughed and
They're like, we
me,
told you.
We know that we told them white folks was going to cross you. Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. And they all got rich. I had at least 6 buddies out of the 10 that I rode with, maybe 15. Out of the 15 guys I used to roll with in the streets, about 6 of them got rich. But they also, every single one of them went to the penitentiary. 2 did 30 years, 2 of them.
Wow.
So no, there's a price to pay.
Yeah, right?
And so, yeah, but I was able to fight against that and keep my mission going because I had made that promise. And then I had found some purpose.
Yeah. So that purpose is what keeps that fire going even to this day.
Yeah, people coming up to me saying I had changed their life. That's the only thing. When people stop telling me that,
Right.
I'm probably done.
Well, but the thing is, too, you don't know the lives you change.
Right. And so I got to hear it every blue moon to
Right.
keep me going. Yes, I
Yeah.
don't. You're right.
Or just know that you living your purpose
right.
is changing lives.
But think
You just
about
have to believe that.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Or else you wouldn't have come this far
Right.
to be where you are now in front of us, having us be
Mhm.
just like, wow, man.
Well, think
Like-
about it. Your purpose and being on television. You're one of the first true influencers.
Mhm. Good
Yeah.
point. Yeah. I tell that's why they say Oprah should always run for president because of her
It's
influence.
an influence. It's
I
true
call
influence.
myself a poor man's Oprah.
Yeah, because you're not looking because it was reality
but
television.
influential nonetheless.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
You
I
know.
have influence, but it's a different crowd.
Because-
she got rich white women. I got poor hood.
Right, but
and Social Security seniors.
But what's interesting is that as long as you are visible,
Yes.
people young Black boys can see what they could become.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so glad that you are on social media,
Mhm. Yeah.
because I was telling this to some marketing people today. Most people under the age of 50 go to social media for their information. It's where they find their heroes. It's where
Mhm.
they find.
Yeah.
And so, like growing up, if I were to say, you know, who was my hero growing up, it's the men that were around the coaches, the people I saw on TV,
Mhm.
you know, who I thought were doing things
Okay.
because there was no dad,
Mhm.
you know. And so now people look at social media and say, oh, that person's my hero. And they're looking at a fake life.
Yeah.
And like I said, these young people don't know your story. If you're under 40, sometimes some of those people, this is the first time they're going to hear that
You're
story,
right. Under 40s don't.
you know?
Mhm.
And so if I had to ask you, who is your hero?
I was thinking the same thing.
Like
Now-
who?
Malcolm X.
Mhm.
Very easy answer to that.
Mhm.
I saw myself in him. Time I got in college.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I read autobiography of Malcolm
Yes.
X in jail. Most impactful book to this day that I
Absolutely.
ever read. And so then I began to see myself in him. I saw the possibilities of what he did. And by my second, excuse me, when
Mhm.
I went over to political science, away from engineering and business administration,
Mhm.
I began to learn the dynamics of sociology and socioeconomic oppression, etc., historical plight of African Americans and our sojourn from Africa, etc. So I empowered myself with that information, just like Malcolm did.
Absolutely.
And I felt, and Malcolm wanted to be a lawyer. He said,
Mhm.
but the teacher told him he couldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
All of that came together for me. That was my hero.
Think about
That's my
how
hero.
many kids that look like us.
Oh, he's my third cousin. I can show you right now his daughters. We communicate all the time. They
No
called
kidding.
me. Like, 8 years ago, they did the
DNA.
third cousin.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
You were
The
talking
book
about
of recent
how
separation.
they were telling him he couldn't do something. And to this day, we are still constantly telling young black boys they can't do something.
Yep.
And that's crazy.
Yeah.
To this day, when you see people like me, like Coach, like you,
Yep.
who are educated, doing things, yet people are still saying you can't do it. Or
Why?
if you're given the opportunity to do it, it's only because you're black.
Or in the hood, how you gonna do that? They don't have the wherewithal or they've been undereducated in the impoverished community. So the critical analysis they haven't learned because they don't know the possibilities. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons as well that we don't see them pursuing and believing that their pursuits could lead to
we don't tell our own kids that you could do it.
Correct.
That's the problem. That's where it starts, at home. If you're at home being told, yeah, you that's not for you, and then you go to school and your guidance counselor is telling you, yeah, that's not for you.
Mm-hmm. And see, mama or daddy, when they say, how you gonna do it? That's the same.
Same thing of telling you, I don't believe you can, so I want to
correct.
Tell me how you gonna do that. How you gonna do that? How you gonna make that happen?
Right.
Yeah.
You here in the hood, we here in the ghetto. How you gonna be a doctor?
Yeah.
How you gonna do this? How? Yeah, you sound crazy. That's what they used to say to me.
Yeah. Very short-lived mindset.
How you gonna be a lawyer?
How you gonna do that?
How you gonna get in college?
Yeah.
And in fact, one of the pinnacle moments for me, my first 2 years in college, remember I was still half hustling.
Mm-hmm.
So this time, I'm going to go back to the projects I grew up in. Tell my buddies who I used to roll with, hey man, y'all can get in college, you can get your GED, and you can get in college for free. Well, I thought it was until 4 years later.
Well, you thought it was free.
Because I had all the grants. All I do is I filled out paperwork every semester, and I went. I thought it was all grant.
It's free for now.
So I told them that. You know what they did? They said, we don't want no part of that white boy shit.
Yeah. Say
that white world.
Yeah.
They say, matter of fact, give me your shit. Pistol whip me. Scar still there. Strip me of my clothes. Kicked me. And ran off, told me to go back with them whiteys.
All because you're trying to get educated.
And I'm coming to y'all.
I'm coming to y'all, telling y'all, I'm saying you could do it too.
Yeah, I'm bringing this goodness to you.
But
they don't want that. That's not good for them.
I didn't stop there. I don't give up on nothing.
Right.
What I did do, right after graduating from college, I had some friends, college buddies and others, worked at City Hall, started doing a first Saturday of every month, a career and personal development workshop in the basement of the church that was adjacent to the projects.
Okay.
So, in other words, I wasn't doing no retailing. I help y'all, whoever walked through this door, but I ain't going retail. I ain't walking up to you. I change your life. No, I put a sign up.
Yeah, buddy.
So, that was a major experience that let me know, nope. It's not for you anymore. They don't even want you around. They don't want you straddling the fence.
And after that, it's
I
can only go this way. I only go forward now.
And let me make one of the observations too about what folks suggest about affirmative action or DEI.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that some suggest is that we are less qualified or less skilled, when in fact, we perhaps are less K through 12 prepared because of your failing school systems you subject us to.
Yep.
And the racism that you subject us to, and the legacy of hundreds of years of economic deprivation. So no, we're not as prepared, but we are just as smart. And how have I observed that personally? Most lawyers you meet, at some point in their life, they want to be a judge. Because it's an easy job. It's almost like a retirement job.
Yep.
Lawyers work 12, 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. It's a hard, hard grind. And so when they're ready to relax a little in their career and have a little title to go with it, they'll either run for judge or work their politics. And so my point I'm making, all this might not be as qualified, might not be this, might be that. I outcompeted every single one of them and became the youngest judge in Michigan history, 15 years out of jail. I'm not boasting. I'm just pointing out the fact that I outcompeted all of those privileged kids.
You had to.
And did it with the quickness.
It's funny. I had a patient, older white guy, come to my office to see me.
So all the white folk, them white kids needed some affirmative action.
Right.
Go ahead.
I had this older white guy came to see me, and we were just talking, and he's like, "You know why I chose you?" And I was like, he's like, "Why I chose you to do your surgery?" I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Because I know what you had to do to get here. I know what you had to go through and how you had to be.
Your resourcefulness.
You had to be better than your peers to be here." He's like, "So why would I not want that?"
Yeah.
And I was like, and I never thought about that like that. I was like, huh.
Yeah.
But hearing that come from an older white guy, I was just like, this dude had to be close to 80 at the time.
Yeah, and he's lived.
He's lived. He's
Right.
been through it. And he's just like, I chose you because I knew you being a black man is what you had to go through to be sitting here with the accolades that you have.
Strong resourcefulness with a survival instinct.
We're not allowed to be as good.
Right.
We can't. Better. We got to be better just to be considered adequate, which is, and unless you're us in our skin, you'll never understand
and
that.
That's a racist principle in and of itself.
Absolutely.
And I don't allow anyone to project that onto me. And that is, you got to work twice as hard, even though I work to compete, to win with whomever.
Yeah.
But the suggestion that you have to work twice as hard is acknowledging racism in and of itself.
You're giving it.
And giving into it. No, I don't want to work twice as hard. I want to work the same way he worked. I want to work the same amount of hours. I want to work at the same pace. I want to have just as much fun and still have the same performance.
Yeah.
But
the reality.
There you go. The reality is
this is what's on our
racism interferes with that.
And this is what we try to tell, my brother and I try to tell my nephews. We're like, your mom's white, your dad's black. You're looked at as little black boys. No matter what we did, the world is going to see that in you first.
Yeah.
Now it's time for you to prove to the world that you're more than just that.
Well, they got a good example. Tell them they can be the Pope now. The Pope is of mixed race,
right?
African heritage, African ancestry.
Right.
So they can be the president
the
or the Pope.
Yeah.
President Obama.
Two of the most powerful people,
Leo.
two of the most powerful individuals in the world.
That's no question.
Yeah.
So there you have
Absolutely.
it.
Oh, man.
Every evolved man, they have lines they will not cross. What are your non-negotiables?
As it relates to society itself.
Life. You be like, no, you bet I ain't green. Yeah,
I got the street. I got those street code. Disrespect.
That's what I was.
Yes.
That's it. That's what I was trying to get out. I was trying to be nice about it, but that's what I was trying to get out.
That's a trigger.
Yeah.
I'll get in trouble.
I was just trying to say, whoever's listening, he will bring that smoke.
Right.
I will get sued. Take this little money.
Right.
They come to me before it even gets started. Right. Baby, write this 6-figure check. Write this man a check, because I'm about to pistol whip his ass. Go get the checkbook, right?
Just write it down.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's funny. It's real though.
But isn't that something that, and the thing of it is, this is a black man's thing. The demand and the priority, so much priority being placed on respect. And we know why, because we're so disrespected
Yes.
in society and so demonized. And we're not going to let you do that to me in my face.
Right.
You can do all that behind my back.
Right.
And you, brother, you want to prey on me. You want to be a predator. When you talk crazy to me and disrespect me, it might not come out of the sense of a race-based disrespect, but it's still disrespect nonetheless.
Absolutely.
That might be based on other factors.
Yeah.
And so on, that's what get us to fighting each other so much. We'll let the white folks disrespect you. You'll let mainstream America disrespect you, but let one of your brothers disrespect you, you're going to kill him on the spot.
And it's always blown my mind. It's just hearing you say that about when people used to always say black on black crimes, but you never hear somebody say white on white crime.
It's all based on proximity.
Yeah, and it's like black on black crime is a thing, but white on white crime is not a thing.
Right.
I'm not sure.
No, there's been studies that show that in white communities, there's just as much white on white crime in proportion to the numbers.
Yeah.
In a certain economic strata.
Everything is proximal.
As it is in the black community. It's based on proximity. Mm-hmm. Everybody living together over here. Everybody living together over here. Who you gonna commit the crimes against?
But when they talk about it, they just talk about the crime.
Correct.
When black people do it, they talk about black on black crime. They have to put the color into it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just
think about, like, even in Chicago, how once they started regentrifying all those different areas in the South Side, and they make them disperse. Now they're all over the city. Now they're trying to claim that proximal space, so they're fighting each other because they're sub-ganging themselves to take over that area.
It was worse than then. Worse than that.
Absolutely.
About 10 years ago, the mayor at the time, Rahm Emanuel, whom had been Clinton's chief of staff as president, he won the mayoral race and closed 54 schools and merged those 54 schools into other schools without any understanding that you are merging opposing gangs into the same school.
Yeah. That's just true.
And your daddy killed my uncle. So I got automatic beef with you. Mm-hmm. Your such and such snitched on my cousin. He in prison.
Yeah.
I got automatic beef with you.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about 1960s and 70s P Stones.
Mid-2000s.
You know, the P Stones and all the,
I know these cats. I give gang summits. I give gang summits and I speak at prisons.
Okay, you know.
So, I know all these cats. I can show you. I ain't going to do that. I ain't going to do that to Big U. But I can show you our last text. I'm glad we was talking about that. And then I can show you the other one with Lil Durk. I work with these cats trying to get, because they're the leaders.
Yeah.
I talked to Big Meech 3 times since he been home.
Okay.
Because these cats lead. They are the leaders of our generation, of the younger generation, unfortunately. So, Big U, I say, let's do a
a prison expungement expo. I do those around the country too, where you advertise brothers hundreds at a time come, and you had the lawyers, volunteer lawyers. I would organize it. He bring the guys, I bring the lawyers.
Yeah.
Fine. We're looking for a date. Boom, I'm watching the news. Big U, murder.
Crazy.
Same Lil Durk. He came to our community center in Detroit with the kids. We were gonna do a gang summit in Chicago. I had him to do a song. It was the #1 hit of the summer. Oh my! It was a kid song, and it was positive, and a big hit. So now I got you. He believed in me, and we were gonna do a gang summit to try and squelch all the killings.
Yeah.
6 months ago, murder.
Yeah, it's wild.
So I say that to say, yeah, I'm in those circles because they have the influence. One last thing on their influence. During COVID, I was a COVID folk, so I had my nephew drive me. He flew in from Florida here, drive me in an RV to Detroit and Chicago. We get to my house in Detroit. I say, I'm thinking I'm about to impress him. I said, we're going to see Jesse Jackson tomorrow over in Chicago. He about 38.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well,
Cool.
I say, okay, I'll be back. I got to go visit a partner who just came home. Listen to this. I said, you ever heard of Southwest Tea? What? He went crazy.
Wow.
That's BMF.
Yeah.
He went crazy. You don't know them, do you, Unc? I said, yeah, I've been knowing them ever since I was in the street. They were a little younger than me, but we all know about it. Oh, no, they're our idols. The whole hip-hop world, that's our idols. They look up to them. I go over there to his house because my purpose, and we did it, was to get a picture. This is 2020. It had gotten out on COVID release. I go over to take a picture with him so he could post it and tell the young cats to get out and vote. He did that. Got 352,000 likes in 3 days. So if 10% of them voted, he gave me 30,000 votes for Biden.
Yeah.
That's the influence they have.
Yeah.
I'm over there. And that's what I'm telling you. These musicians and rappers, they all want to be drug dealers. That's who they admire, or athletes. Athletes want to be rappers. Rappers want to be dope boys and athletes.
Yeah.
I'm there about 3 hours. Puffy. Hey, man, I need about 1 million, man, to get me started. You know, I looked out for you. Oh, okay, T. You know, they got to put it on the speaker for me to hear. Next one, T.I. T.I. calls him right while I'm sitting there. These guys talk to him like they're little boys. Damn. He said, man, all these guys, we gave these cats all kind of money, Judge, back in the day. So that's the influence, long story long, that the gangster establishment, if you want to call it that, establishment.
It is.
We got the political and the business establishment, so the gangster establishment.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that's the type of influence they have over our young people. And that's why we got to go. I didn't aged out. That's what I tell people. They were listening to me when I was 40, but they ain't listening to me no more. I got to go find the ones they listen to.
So a question for you before because we're going to start wrapping this up shortly. 2 questions. When all is said and done, and you're like, you know what? I've come to the end of that road. How do you want to be remembered?
Change lives. Inspirational figure that changed lives.
Are there any regrets?
Yes. Most of my life.
What's the biggest one?
My mother. Hurting her. I think I may have had something to do with her death. You as a physician know what stress does.
Heartbreak. Stress. Yep.
I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
She was 49. Those are my regrets. And everything I did as a young man is regretful.
Mm-hmm.
Every single thing I did, my whole life was regretful. I'm not one of those people who say, well, because it turned out positive. No,
Yeah.
I hurt people.
Yeah.
I hurt people all my life.
Yeah.
And don't know, my kids are very productive. They're 2 lawyers, producer, one U.S. Senate, works at the U.S. Senate. But I'm not too sure I wasn't too hard on them. So I'm looking at the parenting of my grandchildren, how my daughter and her husband are parenting, and just this modern way of parenting. I'm just saying, I'm like, was I abusive? You know, because I used to go off on their asses if they didn't do their homework or if I catch it, you know. And I'm like, nobody do that no more. So, but I'm like, well, they came out all right, so I wasn't too. But those are regrets that are creeping up now.
Yeah.
Is whether even after building my family, were there things I regret.
Yeah.
And I'm tempted to regret the tough discipline that I gave because I saw it turn into fear. If your children fear you, at least my experience, they're not going to open up to you as much because you're scrutinizing everything they say. At least I was.
Yeah.
I was scrutinizing every little thing they say and flipping on them.
Mm-hmm.
You did wrong. Why did you do that? Da-da-da. Now, I'm not trying to talk. That's not why I'm telling you this, Dad. I'm telling you this as a dad.
As a dad.
Yeah, want to have a father-son
Not as the attorney.
Yes,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that might be the only other
Yeah.
in my adulthood is not knowing whether I was too tough, particularly on my sons, because they seem to fear telling me things that I want to know.
Mm-hmm. I have one question. What advice would you give to young men in this world today? Because the male masculine image is a hodgepodge.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to young men today?
Well, I would say, using their term, it's a little expired term now, but keep it real. If you say that you're the man,
Be the man.
be the man.
Yeah.
If you say that you're the best, then be the best. And how does that come?
Yeah.
Find what your God-given talent is. Develop it. Find something that you enjoy that matches that talent. So you're not looking at your watch trying to go home at 5 o'clock every day where your competition is staying until 7.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to find something that you're good at and you like, and you can out-hustle any of these privileged kids. That's my words to you.
All right.
Out-hustle the privileged if you about that life.
Out hustle the privilege. I like that.
Mm-hmm. And
Man.
you're privileged to yourself.
Judge, thank you, man.
Yep.
Thank
Yep.
you for
guys.
being
Many
here, man.
blessings.
Just dropping gems. We appreciate it.
Get me ready for the prison. I'm not going to talk to
So
them.
on that note, thank you guys as always for tuning in. Always come check us out. YouTube, Spotify. You'll check out Judge Mathis. We're gonna put up his links so you guys know to go support him and watch his show.
Yep.
It's not only inspirational, it is you'll learn some stuff.
Even the reality
Yeah.
show.
You'll learn some stuff, right?
That was entertaining.
Yes. You'll learn some stuff. You'll be entertained and you'll learn. Coach KJ, where they gonna find you, man?
At Coach KJ Knows on Instagram and CoachKJ.com.
You'll find me as always at Lionel Hunt on IG and at huntspine.com. Go check out thehuntfoundation.org. Just trying to do big things like Judge Mathis said and change lives. And with that, y'all, we out.